She buried her only child and thought the story ended there. But weeks later, a single detail would unravel everything she believed was true. If stories like this pull you in, subscribe now and stay with me until the end. Margaret Ellis was 68 years old when she stood beside a small white coffin, her hands trembling just enough to notice, but not enough to break. The funeral was quiet, too quiet for a life that had meant everything to her. Her daughter Emily had been 34, healthy, careful, the kind of woman who double-checked everything until the day she didn't come home. They said it was an accident, a late-night crash on a rural road. No witnesses, no other cars involved, just a report, a signature, and a closed case. Margaret accepted it, because what else could a mother do when the world hands her something that final? But grief does strange things. It sharpens some memories and distorts others. 3 weeks after the funeral, Margaret was sitting alone in Emily's house. She hadn't had the strength to go back before, not until that afternoon. The house still smelled like her daughter's perfume, light, floral, familiar. Margaret moved slowly through each room, touching things she didn't need to touch. A coffee mug, a folded blanket, a pair of shoes by the door. Then she saw it, Emily's phone. It had been returned with her belongings, locked, silent, untouched. Margaret picked it up without thinking, and then it lit up. One notification, a message from a number not saved. "I know what really happened that night." Margaret froze. Her heart didn't race, it stopped. Because accidents don't come with messages like that. If you feel something is wrong already, you're right, keep watching. Her fingers shook as she tried to unlock the phone. She didn't know the password, but she knew her daughter. Emily always used the same numbers, birthdays, dates that mattered. Margaret tried her own birthday first. Wrong. Then Emily's. Wrong. Then, the date Margaret had buried her husband 20 years ago. The phone unlocked. Margaret stared at the screen, her reflection faint against the glass. The message was still there, unread, waiting. She opened it. "I saw the car before it crashed. She wasn't alone." Margaret's breath caught, because the police had told her something very clear. Emily was alone, no passengers, no signs of anyone else. No reason to question it, until now. Margaret scrolled up. There were no previous messages, just that one. A number with no name, no history, like it had appeared just to say that. Margaret sat down slowly on the edge of the bed. Her mind began to move in ways grief had kept locked. Too many questions. Why would someone send that? Why now? And why had no one told her? Then she noticed something else. A voicemail. 3 days before Emily died. Unheard. Margaret pressed play. The voice was distorted. Low. Male. "Emily, we need to talk. This can't wait anymore. You can't just walk away from this." The message ended. Margaret didn't move, because suddenly, her daughter's life didn't look like the one she thought she knew. It looked like something else entirely, something hidden, something dangerous. And whatever it was, it hadn't ended with Emily's death. It had just begun. Subscribe now, because what Margaret uncovered next changed everything. Margaret didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute, because once doubt enters your mind, it doesn't leave quietly. It grows. By morning, she had made a decision. She was going back to the police, but first, she needed more. Margaret returned to Emily's house before sunrise. The kind of early hour where the world feels suspended, like nothing has started yet. She went straight to the kitchen. Emily's laptop sat on the table. Closed. Margaret opened it. No password. That alone felt wrong. Emily protected everything. Margaret began searching. Emails, files, notes, nothing unusual, until she found a folder with no name. Inside were photos, dozens of them, blurry, taken from a distance. The same black car, parked outside different locations. Emily's workplace, a grocery store, her house. Margaret felt something cold settle in her chest. These weren't random. Someone had been watching her daughter. For how long and why? Then she found the last photo, taken the night of the accident, time-stamped, 11:42 p.m. The car was there again, parked across the street. Lights off, waiting. Margaret's hands tightened around the laptop, because the police report had said something else. They said the road was empty, no other vehicles, no witnesses, nothing. Margaret closed the laptop slowly. Now she knew one thing for certain. They were wrong. Or they had been told to be wrong. If you've made it this far, subscribe and watch the full story on the channel, because what comes next is something no one expected. Margaret walked into the police station that afternoon with something she hadn't had weeks before. Not grief, not confusion, but purpose. She placed the laptop on the desk and said one sentence. "My daughter wasn't alone that night." At first, they didn't take her seriously. They never do, until she showed them the photos, until she played the voicemail, until the room went quiet. The investigation reopened within 48 hours. And what they found was not an accident. The black car belonged to a man named Daniel Reeves, a private contractor. No criminal record, no obvious connection to Emily, except one, a financial transfer, 3 days before her death, from Emily's account to his, a large amount, unexplained. Margaret stared at the report when they showed her, because now the question wasn't what happened, it was why. And the answer came from the one place no one expected, Emily's workplace. She had been auditing accounts, internal accounts, money that didn't belong where it was, money that had been moved quietly, The kind of money people protect at any cost. Daniel Reeves wasn't a stranger. He was the last person who had tried to stop her. The night she died, she met him, not by accident, by choice, and she never made it back. The case didn't end quickly, but it ended clearly. Charges were filed, truth surfaced, and Margaret finally understood something that changed her forever. Her daughter hadn't died in confusion. She had died standing her ground, and in the end, it was Margaret who finished what she started. If this story moved you, leave a comment. Would you have opened that message?